since carnal man has denied the truth within himself, he now has before him a truth that he cannot deny. And the things that are happening externally was more than what man has done on this earth. When it comes down to the storms, the pestilence, the famine, the earthquakes, and the fires, and all of these elemental things happening, these are things that we have nothing to, these are powers happening beyond our control. And they are moving in a specific direction for all of man, for the sake of all, for the sake of the will of God, of the Most High being done. And so all of this stuff that we're experiencing, all of these hurts, all of these pains and things that we're dealing with, y'all, in ourselves, we've been denying, struggling over and over, admitting and accepting the carnal life. Like, people are not in sin striving to make things right. They're in sin loving it at this point in time. People are in the sinful life, enjoying their life, loving their life, okay with how they live and how they work in the presence of God. And so the Father sent them trouble in their own lives. A lot of them have received their troubles in their unctions, in their pulls, in their beckonings of the Most High within their spirit, constantly reminding them, hey, you should think about me. Hey, you should pray. You should do right. You shouldn't have done that. That was wrong. They constantly hear the beckonings of the Most High, of things that their mind in a carnal state does not readily care to think about. And so when a thing comes before your mind that you don't care to think about, someone put it there for you to think about. And so carnal man has been living his entire life ignoring the falsehood within him. Point blank period, we all know how to sense the truth. We all know the truth. Period. I want to say we all know what's true. When we see something presented to us face to face, we know what that is. We know that truth. And so we've been living our lives in carnal lifestyle, in carnal society, and not thinking about what the Father wants for us, not trying to live our life according to His great pleasure, according to His will and His goal and His purpose for us in life. But yet we choose not to live the way He wants us to live, but the way we want to live ourselves. Well, there's something that's happening that is a shift of influence and power in the earth. And I could tell you a beginning of that shift looks something like this. The people of the earth who were living in carnal life almost had a voice that muted the righteous man, the righteousness in life. Someone that wanted to do right. Like, for example, in particular, how gay rights have gone throughout the earth and protesting, and they've become powerful enough to cause people to lose their jobs and things of that nature. That's a spiritual force that in carnal society has been misused. The spiritual force is not the deed itself. The deed is the misuse itself. But the spiritual influence, the force that comes behind that, you all have misused. That force looked like this. Everything that the Father has set up is, shall ever be, and will always be. That is a force of truth, power, or a might in majesty, overwhelming light, if you will. And so you did that by coming out into the light. That overwhelming force could never have grown had the carnal or the wicked stayed in darkness, but something drew you out to the light. And so it became a public thing and not an in the closet thing for you. And so by bringing it out in unison, the collective mind of your men, your kind, your people, your influence in high places, right? Now you're able to say, I have the right to do this and to do that evil, that wicked, and say you should love me for it. And you use all the essences of true speaking to dress up your evil and your wickedness the way you want it to be perceived, right? The way you want to defend it, right? But you don't understand that coming out into the light is the mark of the beast. You have been marked. You came out into the light and you manifested who you are. You stand up for it. You fight for it. You continue in it and you consider not. And this has been your spiritual, this has been how you have misused the spiritual force of unity, if you will, to be specific, to prolong your evil and wicked, perverse and lust agenda in the earth. So you can live lavish and out in the open, declaring in your heart, there is no God. No one shall reprimand me for my sin and pleasure I desire to live in. And you don't understand that this worked out the will of the Most High, because when you brought it there, He decided to bring it there. You came out in the open, He decided to come out in the open. And so now you have it where the manifestations of the things that you all have brought out in the open also have effects out in the open. And so you see the effects of your own deeds out in the open. And so there are imbalances everywhere now because of it, right? It ain't just you, but everybody is a killer, and they come out in the open, and they are on social media with guns and everything, fronting around like they killers, loving to be killers and gangsters and prolongers and adulterers and everything. I'm telling you, social media brought all y'all out into the open. Nobody's in the closet right now. And so you brought it out into the open so much that sin is identified. And now, what you don't understand, that's also coming out in the opening, that's solidifying everything and causing all of this stuff to happen, is that the righteous are also coming out in the open. Do you understand what I'm saying? And they're bringing it all out. And so everybody right now in broad daylight, marking themselves as to what they want to be by the works and agencies of their own deeds and members and occupations and the things they choose to do within and without. And so now the elements are able to identify and see who the sons of God are, or who the people of God are, if you will, and work on their behalf for the sake of the growth of their own spirit. People, y'all don't understand. You see, I see how the carnal have gotten what they wanted in life and how they were able to come out in the open. They prayed to their God for it. What do you mean, Anaya? You just said they prayed to their God for it and they got what they wanted. Their God is carnal. So they pray to the carnal God, if you will. They are carnal. So they pray to their carnal God. What's the form of their prayers? In order for you to understand the form of their prayer, the prayer of the carnal man as opposed to the prayer of the righteous man set in the Most High, and the carnal man set in carnal society. You see, the carnal man is selfish, so everybody's out to get what they want for their own selfishness, for their own selfhood and pleasures, to fulfill their own deeds. That's all they want to live their life for, and nothing more. For them and what they consider to be their immediate family, the walls of what they call their family. You understand what I'm saying? And so I see how they have acquired the ability to turn and cause this thing to be. You see, in a carnal kingdom, everything carnal is out in the open. In a spiritual kingdom, everything spiritual is also out in the open. You understand what I'm saying? Working in the material realm, where things are set aside to be worked, where things are meant to be worked, the only place where there is work, truly, if you will, for the sake of it being manifested as his will, the glory of the Most High. But y'all are manifesting everything for your own will in the carnal society. And so in order for you to pray to your God, you got to pray to your God, because he also wants to manifest everything according to his own will. And so your God wants to manifest things to his own will, and you are just like him because you want to do the same. This is the only way. Your God looks like you, period. And if you challenge with somebody in the mirror, you're going to have a problem. Y'all going to conflict like y'all doing, and that's the source of the problems that we're dealing with right now in this society. That is the absolute problem that we have, because everybody is out here for selfhood. None of them are looking to glorify the name and the will of the Most High. None are looking to try to find out who they really are and how to actually use what they've been given. But they misuse what they've been given and don't inquire and don't care to think that they even have to consider inquiring into the origins of themselves and how to even utilize the blessing God gave them called life. And so we have people who, in order to pray to that carnal God, they have to protest. Because to get something out of a selfish person requires a protest. You understand? And so for your selfish God, you must protest to get what you want. But in spirit life, there is no protest. There is only a praise and a joy, because you always get what you need. All praises to the Most High. And so every single man in spirit life learns to live their life in the now, always, never concerned about tomorrow, never concerned about the past, only looks into the future while learning from the past and living in the now always, and not concerned with anything else about any of the waves that you all are dealing with right now in the sea. Tossed to and fro. Don't know where you're going. Don't know where you've been. You understand what I'm saying? And this is what y'all been dealing with in your life. And y'all are okay with that. And so to pray to your God, I feel my freedom taken away from me, so I will protest. And then you don't understand that there is true freedom in the Most High alone, because he is free. And so we must walk in him freely. You understand what I'm saying? And so now we look like the God that we serve. But no, y'all walking in selfhood. You understand? And the only way to walk freely in him is to do a thing freely according to his character, his attributes, who he is. This is the only way we could be free, because the moment we do for ourselves, we are trapped. We are ensnared. We are beguiled. For the self is the Satan within you, your own self, assuming that you can have authority over your own life and do it right. Y'all actually thought y'all could live right without the Father? Please. The one who gave you life, who directs you in every step and facet of that life, because that life is eternal and you need him by your side, climbing up the ladder of eternity. Y'all don't understand what y'all missing. And this is the kingdom I'm trying to show y'all, the difference between the one y'all living right now and the one y'all missing out on. And so Y'all gonna get this glory. Y'all gonna understand the story, the real deal when it comes down to the truth about the things that are going on. People, we are living in the spiritual life right exactly now. This is the absolute time. No longer put it off. Now is the absolute time for the kingdom of heaven to come within you. Period. Now is the absolute time. And if you don't understand that, then you can never live the spiritual life, because you got to have it in you before you can live it without you. Period. You got to do the inner work. We got to, there are steps that are prerequisites before you are able to rightly live the spiritual life. That step is to overcome your sin and establish your countenance and character and stature and morals and standings within, before you can live right peacefully next side by side with your brother and not in selfhood. And you can understand from whence comes your true joy and health and opulence. You understand what I'm saying? And so you don't need to gather up any money. You just need to be concerned with the day and work the day out. Bit by bit, step by step, overcoming every single sin. Because if you keep looking in the past, you'll constantly wonder, am I overcoming, or can I possibly overcome? If you look in the future, you look at dread and your fear and your doubt in yourself being able to overcome. Will make you be like, oh, I'll do it eventually. But then if you focus on the now, you can always overcome sin. You understand what I'm saying? And you could overcome this evil in this world and pray to the Father with joy and delight that He gave you, which you need so that you can have a successful life already. Because everyone that works in the spiritual life have what they need instantaneously. It's already there. So you can declare it yours now if you live in an instantaneous, spontaneous, opulent, wealthful, and healthy, joyful, peaceful life. But y'all want an American dream. Y'all don't want no spiritual dream. You want an American dream, right? America, right? Family, look. When you pray to your false god, understand, would you rather that protest? That you have to constantly because a lot of y'all think y'all gotta protest God. That's your problem. That's your problem. That's you turn to God praying to Him that exact same way. That's your problem. Steady praying to Him like a protest and not trusting that you got all that you need right then and there, right now. You understand what I'm saying? And start working in the little, the talent, the one talent you got, and multiply the talents that are in you. That are the attributes of the Most High. That is the Spirit of God. Y'all want to sit up here and protest God. Lord, you gonna give me what I want. I got this now. You protesting? Who you protesting? Come on, bro. Y'all out your mind, bro. Who y'all think y'all talking to? Humble yourself. He is the master. And He has masterfully weighed out your entire life. Knows the numbers of the hairs on your very head. You understand what I'm saying? Which you cannot change. Gives you life every single second. Which you do not give you life. He gives you life. And in that life you live. You understand what? Come on, bro. Are y'all sick of protesting? When y'all all come holler at the boy. Learn about spiritual life. Do your thing. Learn the truth. Understand what you actually growing and what you working on in you. Because a lot of y'all don't even know what you're working on. When you overcoming sin, you do it in ignorance, not knowing what you're working on until you master that thing. Control that information you're receiving with the rebuke and the direction and the insistency and attention on what you want in spirit, on what's real in spirit, on what the Most High is in spirit. You understand what I'm saying? And so your desires in Him, because of seeking and asking is the understanding of the research that you got to fulfill in Him and understanding your will in Him. Y'all don't want to live that life and graduate. Well, I'm going to tell you like this. Your leaders now, they don't lead you to stand alone. to stand on your own, if you want to understand what I mean. They don't lead you to stand on your own in the right way. If they lead and then still deceive, where you still feel like you following them, and still actually truthfully following them, and your voice is minimal and mute, and you have nothing to say because they dominate over you with the hierarchy that they invented and set up within their church. Come on, bro. You see, if anyone is respected whose voice is speaking in the spiritual kingdom, is respected because of his character and standing in the presence of God alone. Because he is right to be heard. Glory where glory is due. But look, all that to say, I'm doing a documentary right now. And that documentary will be called The Great Shift. Okay? And it's going to entail the Enoch calendar. Because just recently, I discovered the final piece of the puzzle I needed to fulfill and actually complete the Enoch calendar and all of the understanding and reasons for it all in one single setting. Right? I'm going to do a documentary, and I'll have a book to follow with the documentary as well. Okay? And I'm putting this out here to stamp it within myself, to pressure myself to do it, to know that I put it out in the open, and the Most High ain't going to take no idle word. Period. And so this is just simply me challenging myself to tell you. You understand? Not to tell you, but challenging myself by telling you to stamp it out there, to get it done. But I'm letting y'all know that so that y'all can understand that something great is in the works when it comes down to something that I feel is great. And if it's great to me, whatever. I'm living the life that the Father gave me to live. So y'all be blessed, and just know that this is coming. The full understanding of the Enoch calendar and the great reset that's coming on. And I say reset because that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to put on it the great reset, slash it out, and put the word shift. So that y'all understand that I mean to speak about what's going on right now and telling you what's actually shifting that we're dealing with right now. Because that's all we're dealing with right now is a great shift. And there's nothing nobody can do to stop it. So peace and blessings.